How to reduce retirement anxiety. We have 5 steps to get you started next on Smart Money. Welcome to Smart Money. I'm Pat Boyle along with Julia Anderson. And we're wondering if you're feeling a little anxious about retirement. A lot of people are. There are many reasons for that. Julia, why might people not be comfortable about thinking about retirement?
Well, we've had a pretty easy time for the last 10 years, really, since the housing bubble back in 2008, 2010. And the markets have been going up ever since. We've been through a lot of trauma since then. Interest rates are way down. There's really nowhere else to invest your money but in American stock markets, frankly. And so it's been pretty pleasant. But now we're kind of in transition. We had the COVID thing hit. We've had a new administration come in. There's talk about raising interest rates sometime next year and what that might do to the market. So there's a lot to be worried about. And if you're, in the early 50s or getting to the end of your 50s and you're starting to say, hey, how's this going to work when I don't have a job anymore? I see a lot of people out there really trying to figure out what's up and where they need to be headed.
So you think there's more of that going on these days than pre-pandemic?
For sure. I just think people are a little, we're not breathing deeply anymore. We're kind of like this, wondering what to do with our money.
And we don't really know what the future holds now more than ever. And so that could throw that into the anxiety batch as well. Now, you have some suggestions. Step one is get Julia's worksheet and start filling that out. Why don't you tell us about your worksheet you've come up with?
Well, I've got a free worksheet on my website. It's been there a long time. My website, 60andsingle.com. And if you click on the website and look at the top of that page, you'll find a tab that says workshops. Click on the workshops page, and that will take you to a little blurb about workshops that I lead for women and money. But on the right-hand lower side is something called an expense and income worksheet. Looks like this. Anyway, it's pretty simple. It's got categories for where you spend your money. And then there's two columns on the right of that. So you can tabulate what you're spending on, say, your mortgage, transportation, food now. And after you've kind of run through all those categories in terms of what you're spending in terms of a household income or expense sheet now, then you can project what those same expenses might be in retirement. Same deal. Are you still going to be paying your mortgage? Will you paid it off? What about transportation? Is that going to go up or down? Are you going to the office anymore? A lot of us aren't. Is your food bill going to go up? Do you want to put more into your travel budget? There's ways you can kind of project what your retirement household expense budget will be. Once you've done all that, then you go to the second page at the bottom, and here you can calculate your income. And calculating income now, say you're in your early 50s, you've got a paycheck coming in, you may have a real estate property that you're getting rental money from, maybe you're running an Airbnb on the side and you've got income from that. You can calculate what your total income is now, and then project what your income will be in retirement once you've, say, left your full-time job and you've started to draw on your nest egg, your retirement savings, and how much can you afford to withdraw every year and keep that nest egg going. So that's the big challenge. The worksheet will help.
And so you're suggesting people kind of fill that out right when they're about 50, and then yikes, if you see your income is less than all your spending is, then you have time to kind of make adjustments before you actually retire, don't you?
That's exactly right. The good news is if your retirement income is going to be greater than your current budget or the budget you project in retirement, you're on good ground, you're headed in the right direction. If there's a big imbalance between what you're spending now and what your retirement income will be, then you've got some work to do. That's the challenge that you have ahead of you. And if you start sooner, that's the better, because the longer you have to straighten this out, the better. So 2 ways to do that. One is save more, chuck more into your 401k or your individual retirement account. All of this needs to be in tax deferred accounts. That way you don't have to pay taxes on the income you may be earning inside of those accounts until you start withdrawing it. And then you pay taxes on it. So either 401k or IRA or a Roth IRA are ways to build that savings and build that nest egg as you head into your 60s, when frankly by the end of your 60s you're probably going to be retired, and that's when you'll start having to rejuggle your income versus your household expenses. So saving is one way. The other way is to cut your expenses now so that you're spending less and have more to save, and ideally you'd be able to do both.
I've heard some people say, well, I'm never going to retire. I mean, that's not really an answer, is it? I mean, you're going to need to retire at some point and just kind of be accountable for your income spending balance.
I used to use a phrase in my workshop saying you're not going to be able to bag groceries at 90. And maybe that's too flip of a way to say it, but at some point you physically won't be able to continue working as you have. Now, I have a lot of women who turn to me and say they have no retirement plan. They don't have any savings that are worth mentioning. And yes, they will be working until they die. And I hope that's not the case for people, especially women, because at some point you won't be able to do that. And then you'll be relying on your Social Security benefit, your kids, it's going to be tough. And, one of the first things I found out when I started looking into women in retirement was that half of women over 65 in the United States are single. They're not all single in their 60s or even in their early 70s, but at some point we tend to outlive men. And so more of us become single as we age. So there's a lot to think about. Women especially need to save more for retirement.
I think one of the retirement anxieties is, what if my nest egg is gone and I'm still healthy in here? I mean, does that happen very often to people? And what are the options?
Well, this is where you might need to talk to a financial planner. And that's somebody who can have a candid conversation with you and your spouse or your kids about how much money you have saved for retirement and how much can you afford to take out of that retirement nest egg over what may be 20 or 30 years of retirement. I know and I certainly know a lot of people who are in their 90s and still having a pretty good life. So the trick is to look at the formulas for how you can keep your nest egg growing and at the same time start withdrawing from it to pay your monthly annual bills. There's a lot of things on the internet you can go to and search formulas for, is it a 4% withdrawal rate that'll keep you safe and keep your nest egg alive while you're in retirement? Some people say that still works. Some people say it's no longer valid. It really has to do with how much risk tolerance you have, because frankly, the only way you're probably going to your money is going to live longer than you do is if you have at least some portion of it in American stock markets generating dividend income. You can't put it in a money market with inflation, as right now we're experiencing. I heard yesterday it was 8% inflation, and be able to survive in retirement, because the inflation, the cost of living is going to eat in to your nest egg. So there's a lot of things to think about. How much money you have, what's the inflation rate going to be, what can your withdrawal rate be from your nest egg in retirement, and how long do you need to keep working in order to not take money out of your nest egg. I know a lot of people who have worked until 70, and 70 frankly seems to be the new 60. So plenty of people I know are still working in their 60s.
Well, let's wrap it up by saying one inspiring thing that will get people filling out this worksheet and really finding out their financial stability and future.
Well, I think that retirement anxiety goes down when you know the score. So even if you do the math and work the worksheet and you find out that you don't have enough money in retirement or whatever you're going to withdraw from your retirement nest egg to cover all of your current household expenses, you still know where you stand. So you can do something about it. You could sell your house and take all the equity and chuck that into some sort of savings program. There's a lot of things you can do to get on top of retirement planning. The trick is to do it. I know a lot of people who are just kind of looking the other way and going, I don't want to even think about that, especially in what I would now describe as a little more chaotic time in the stock market. We've seen some big swings up and down. There's talk about markets going down. But my advice is just take a deep breath, go through the worksheet process, and you'll see where you are, and then think about what kind of action you can take to get where you want to be before you really retire, which may not be till the end of your 60s. So it's really all doable.
Well, and her website where you can find this worksheet is 60andsingle.com. She'll have good information there for you. And good luck. Thanks for joining us on Smart Money today.
For more information, go to my website at 60andsingle.com.